I was dragged into my own house by two sweaty, shirtless guys I'd never seen before, while my wife, Jenna, stood in the doorway smirking like it was all some twisted joke. "Be gentle," she said with a little laugh. "He bruises easily." One of the guys shoved me down onto the couch. My shoulders slammed into the armrest. I winced. Still cuffed behind my back with some cheap plastic ties, I looked up at her. My wife, the woman I'd sacrificed everything for, dressed in nothing but a silk robe, hair messy like she'd just come from someone else's bed. "What the hell is going on?" I snapped. Jenna crossed her arms and tilted her head. "This is me taking control, Evan. You've been boring lately." One of the men tossed a document onto the table in front of me. It was thick, legal paper, stapled, signed. "What is this?" Jenna leaned in close, so I could smell that familiar lavender perfume I used to love. "A prenup. The one you signed before we got married. You probably didn't read the fine print." I blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" She picked up the document and read aloud, like a schoolteacher humiliating a student. Section 4B. The wife shall maintain autonomy in matters of physical companionship without said actions being grounds for divorce or financial penalty. I felt like I was in a nightmare. "You're serious?" "Oh, deadly." She sat on the arm of the couch, looking down at me like I was a dog she was about to euthanize. "You don't get to leave me. And if you try, I'll take everything. The house, your business, the car. I even have your email passwords." My blood ran cold. "You're out of your mind," I growled. She slapped me. Not hard. Not to hurt me. Just enough to show she could. "You don't get to call me crazy," she whispered. "You get to obey, or lose." That's when I realized it. She wasn't just cheating on me. She had planned every step of this. Manipulated me into marriage. Hidden this clause in the contract. Set me up to fail. And now, she wanted me to smile while she lived out her twisted fantasy of being untouchable. One of the guys picked up a glass of whiskey and offered it to her. She sipped. "We're going to be one big happy family. You, me, and whoever else I feel like having in my bed. Isn't that right, boys?" They laughed. I didn't. I stared at her, at the home I'd worked my ass off to build, at the life I thought was solid, and felt it all cracking like glass under my feet. But I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I smiled. Because at that moment, I realized something. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. They thought they'd broken me. They were wrong. Very, very wrong. That night, after they finally cut the zip ties and left me in my own house like a guest in someone else's twisted game, I sat at the edge of the bed, staring at Jenna. She was curled up under our sheets. No, her sheets now. Casually scrolling on her phone like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just orchestrated a betrayal so brutal it would have shattered any other man. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. But my mind wasn't quiet. Every second that passed was fuel. Fuel for the storm building inside me. Jenna was evil, not in the cartoonish, villainous way. Worse, she was calculated, manipulative, and proud of it. I replayed her words. "You don't get to leave. Or you lose everything." No remorse. No hesitation. Just smug certainty that she'd cornered me. She thought I'd go along with it. That I was weak. That I'd accept being caged in a marriage where she could sleep around, and I'd have to pretend it was normal. And if I didn't, she'd ruin me legally, financially, socially. But she made one mistake. She underestimated me. The next morning, she didn't even look at me. She strutted around the kitchen in nothing but a tank top and panties, humming as she made coffee. I could still smell one of the guys on her. I clenched my fists under the table. "You want eggs?" she asked with fake cheer. "No," I replied coldly. "Oh, come on," she teased. "We're married, remember?" I stared at her. "Married?" "No, Jenna. We're at war. You just don't know it yet." She froze for a second, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. Then she smiled again. "You're cute when you try to sound tough." But I wasn't trying. I was already 2 steps ahead. I started small. The bank accounts? I'd been smart. My business was technically in my name, but I moved fast. I created a holding company overnight and transferred the majority of assets there. Legally sound, no trace to her. Then I began pulling out cash, quietly, draining what I could before she noticed. She thought she had time. She thought her little prenup made her bulletproof. And while she paraded her flings through the house like trophies, I played the part. The calm, broken husband. The fool. But every time she came home late smelling like cheap cologne and vodka, every time I heard laughter from behind a locked bedroom door, I wasn't feeling hurt anymore. I was sharpening my focus. I hired a private investigator, Scott, former Navy, discreet, ruthless. He started tailing her, documenting everything. Photos, locations, names. One of her lovers? A married lawyer with 3 kids. Another? A fresh out of college bartender she met at some pool party. She didn't care. She wanted chaos and attention. But the more I uncovered, the clearer it became. This wasn't just betrayal. It was sport for her. She got off on humiliation. Mine. One night, she came home drunk, stiletto heels in one hand, dress ripped, hair a mess. She laughed when she saw me waiting on the couch. "Why so serious?" she slurred. "Didn't you say till death do us part?" I stood up, walked past her, and said calmly, "Start counting." She blinked. "What does that mean?" I didn't answer, because my plan had already begun. This wasn't about saving the marriage. It was about destroying her, legally, emotionally, publicly. If she wanted war, she just declared it on the wrong man. 3 days after she mocked our vows with slurred laughter, Jenna received a letter. It was hand-delivered by a courier and sealed with the logo of a law firm she didn't recognize. She opened it in front of me, standing in the kitchen with her morning coffee. I watched her eyes move across the lines. Her smirk slowly faded. She reread it. Twice. Then she looked up at me. "What the hell is this?" I didn't flinch. "A petition for a formal post-nuptial agreement audit. You wanted to play legal games, Jenna. I learned the rules." She slammed the paper on the counter. "You're bluffing. That prenup is airtight." I sipped my tea. "Sure. Let's find out." What she didn't know was this. I'd found the original notary. The same guy who signed off on our prenup when we got married in Vegas, drunk off champagne and dreams. And guess what? He wasn't licensed. He'd been busted 3 years ago for running a fake certification ring. That one detail alone, enough to throw the entire agreement into question. Jenna's plan to cheat without consequence just got a crack. "You're being dramatic," she scoffed, but her voice had that slight shake. "You think any of this scares me?" "No," I said calmly. "I think you're finally realizing I'm not the man you thought you could control." The next days were a slow burn of small victories. I cut her access to my business credit card, froze all shared accounts. I created new passwords, closed unnecessary joint services, and set up alerts to track anything she touched. Jenna, used to gliding through life with a devil-may-care grin and open tabs in every direction, started to feel the pressure. She wasn't used to being outplayed. Her go-to moves, teasing, threats, mockery, started falling flat. But she wasn't going down quietly. One night, she stormed into my office, barefoot, wearing one of her revealing robes, mascara smeared like she was ready for a soap opera scene. "You're trying to ruin me, Evan." I leaned back in my chair. "You did that yourself." She walked closer, her tone switching to that fake sweetness she used when she wanted something. "Come on, babe. Let's not turn this into a war. We were good once, weren't we? You remember our honeymoon?" I did. It was the last time I saw her as a human being. Now she was something else. I stood, face to face with her. "You dragged me through hell. You turned our home into a circus. You thought I'd roll over while you played queen of your little whore empire. But now, Jenna, you're in my game, and I play to win." Her face twitched with something between fear and fury. Then she did what she always did, turned manipulative. "You'll regret this. You think you can outmaneuver me? You're nothing without me. I was everything before you." She left the room, slamming the door so hard a photo frame fell off the wall. Later that night, I received an email from Scott, the PI. The footage he'd gathered was more than enough. One clip showed Jenna bragging to her bartender boy toy that she'd locked her husband down so tight he'd never escape. She laughed as she detailed how she'd hid the cheating clause, how she deserved variety, and how I was too scared to do anything about it. I forwarded the video to my attorney. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was the blueprint for her collapse. I was done grieving. Now I was building the hammer. And soon, it was coming down. I had the footage, the documents, and the legal cracks in her so-called prenup. Now, it was time for the second phase, exposure. You see, Jenna didn't just cheat on me. She paraded it. And the sickest part? She didn't even care if people knew. She thought no one would dare question her. Especially me. But she'd built her kingdom on lies. And I was ready to set fire to the foundation. It started at a mutual friend's party. One of those fancy rooftop get-togethers filled with fake smiles, plastic wine glasses, and people who cared more about Instagram than conversation. Jenna loved that crowd. She walked in like royalty, dressed to kill, laughing loudly, tossing her hair like a shampoo commercial. She didn't know I'd be there. Didn't know I'd bring company. Scott, my investigator, had helped me dig up more than just videos. He found dirt on one of her lovers, Travis, a sleazy divorce attorney who had been advising her on how to destroy me financially while also sleeping with another client's wife. I walked into the party, calm, calculated, and mic'd up. As expected, Jenna locked eyes with me, visibly annoyed. "What are you doing here?" "Just mingling," I said with a grin. "Didn't know you'd be here." She fake laughed and leaned in, whispering, "Leave now before I make a scene." "Oh no, sweetheart. That's my job tonight." I stepped back and raised my voice. "Hey everyone, quick toast." A few heads turned. Glasses clinked. Jenna's smile faltered. "I'd like to thank my loving wife for teaching me the importance of reading fine print and hidden camera placement." That got their attention. See, Jenna here believes in open relationships. Just not the kind you talk about. The kind where she hides clauses in a prenup, sleeps with strangers in our bed, and laughs about it with her bartender boyfriend while threatening to take everything I've worked for. Gasps. Murmurs. People started pulling out their phones. Jenna's face turned pale. I have the footage. The emails. Even her voice saying, "He'll never do anything. He's too weak." Silence. Then I pulled out a USB stick. "For anyone interested, here's the highlight reel." She lunged for me. Too late. I dropped the USB on the drink table and walked out without another word. That was the moment everything flipped. Jenna had always lived off her image. Now, that image was ash. Her phone blew up within hours. Half her social circle blocked her. The other half sent me anonymous tips, stories of how Jenna had cheated even before we were married, how she bragged about manipulating me, how she used sympathy to get out of everything from speeding tickets to HR complaints. Her illusion of power? Gone. But she wasn't finished. That night, she came home wild-eyed, mascara streaked, and barefoot. "You think you won something?" she spat. "All you did was turn people against me. You're pathetic." I stood calmly. "You did that yourself." She grabbed a vase and smashed it against the wall. "You're trying to ruin me." I looked her dead in the eyes. "No, I'm just making sure the world sees who you really are." She screamed. "I'll take the house." "I already sold it," I said flatly. "New lease is under my name only. You were too busy playing queen to notice." That shut her up. The look on her face? That wasn't just anger. It was panic. The game had changed. And for the first time in her life, Jenna was losing. 3 days. That's how long it took for her world to start collapsing. Jenna tried to salvage what she could. She called people, begged, lied, guilt-tripped, claimed I'd doctored the video, that I was abusive, that I was having a breakdown. But no one bought it. The people she used to impress were now ghosting her, deleting photos with her, locking their profiles. She was radioactive. And I wasn't done. See, while Jenna was trying to keep her illusion alive, I was moving with precision. I met with my attorney every day. We found more holes in the prenup. Turns out, half the clauses she thought were ironclad weren't even enforceable. And the cheating clause? Legally meaningless once you throw in concealed intent, bad faith, and evidence of manipulation. I wasn't just fighting back. I was winning. Meanwhile, she stayed in the house, but it wasn't hers anymore. I could see the panic setting in. She stopped going out. No more late-night flings, no more mystery men coming and going like it was a nightclub. Now it was just silence and stares. Jenna pacing the living room like a lioness in a cage. She tried to get close again. One night, I came home and she was sitting in the dark, wearing the same robe she had on the night she humiliated me. "Evan," she began softly. I didn't stop walking. "Wait. Just listen." I sighed, turned slowly. "Say what you need to say. You've already used up every lie." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "I don't want to lose you. I made mistakes, I know. But we can start over." I cut her off. "No. You want forgiveness. Go to church. I'm not your savior. I'm the guy you tried to bury." She stood, reaching out. "I was scared, okay? I thought you'd leave me eventually. I didn't want to feel powerless. I wanted to be the one in control for once." "You wanted to humiliate me," I snapped. "And you enjoyed it." Her lip trembled. "I thought you'd never fight back." That was the only honest thing she'd said in weeks. I left the room. Behind me, I heard her drop to the floor, sobbing. But I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. She was finally feeling what she made me feel. Helpless. The next day, I went through with it, served her official divorce papers. No threats, no screaming, just a quiet, professional knock on the door. She opened it, already knowing. "You'll regret this," she said, voice low and venomous. "No," I replied, looking her straight in the eyes. "I regret not doing it sooner." She tried a new tactic after that, pretending to be kind, cleaning the house, cooking dinner, dressing modestly, like she could rewrite history by putting on a show. But it was too late. My mind had already moved on from the illusion of us. That night, I received a text from Scott, another video. This one from just a week ago. Jenna had invited 2 of her former lovers back over and ranted about how she was just using me to keep the lights on, while calling me too spineless to leave. She didn't even deny it when I showed her. She just stared at the floor and said, "I didn't think you'd find out." "I always do," I said. Then I packed a bag. "Where are you going?" she asked, panic in her voice. "To someone who respects me." "Who?" "You'll find out," I said as I walked out the door. And that was the night I left the queen of nothing alone in her castle of lies. I didn't go far. I drove 2 towns over to a small Airbnb I'd rented under a business alias. No luxury, no distractions, just peace. The kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. No perfume masking betrayal, no whispered phone calls in the bathroom, no fake kisses before bed. Just silence, and the first full breath I'd taken in months. I didn't go there alone. Waiting for me was someone who had seen the whole disaster unfold from the sidelines. Marissa, my business manager, the woman who had worked beside me for 5 years, loyal, quiet, sharp as a blade. She was the first person to pull me aside months ago and whisper, "Evan, something's off with Jenna." I didn't listen back then, but she'd stayed by my side anyway. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch in jeans and a hoodie, hair pulled back, no games, no act. She stood when she saw me. "You finally left her?" "Yeah," I breathed. "No going back." "Never." She didn't run into my arms. She didn't flirt. She just nodded and said, "Good. Now let's figure out what's next." We didn't jump into anything. There was no rebound romance, no sudden confessions. Just realness, something I'd forgotten existed. Over dinner, we talked about the case. The final steps of the divorce. The potential blowback Jenna might try. "She's cornered now," Marissa said. "And cornered people are dangerous." "She's not dangerous," I replied. "She's desperate." Still, I tightened everything. Changed my number. Moved business accounts fully out of reach. Updated my will. She wasn't just vindictive. She was smart. I had to be smarter. 2 days later, I got the call. Not from Jenna. From Travis, the slimy lawyer she used to hook up with. Turns out, he was scared. The exposure I dropped at the party? It reached his wife. She filed for divorce. Took the kids. Cleaned him out. Now he wanted to talk. "I've got info," he muttered on the phone, voice shaky. "Stuff Jenna didn't want you to know. Real nasty stuff." I met him in a parking garage like it was a movie scene. He handed me a folder and said, "She tried to blackmail me. Threatened to send fake assault claims to the bar association if I didn't help her bury you. She really thought she was untouchable." I muttered. "She still does," he said. "But after what you pulled, she's unraveling. Screaming at everyone. Paranoid. Says you're stalking her." I laughed. "I haven't even looked at her since I walked out." He hesitated, then added, "Be careful, man. She's not done." I knew that. So I opened the folder. Inside were screenshots, texts between Jenna and 2 of her other lovers. She called me every name in the book. Mocked my body. Said I was only good for paying bills. Bragged about lying during therapy sessions. Even tried to forge emails to make it look like I'd threatened her. It wasn't just betrayal. It was warfare. And now I had proof. I returned to the Airbnb late that night. Marissa looked at me as I walked in and said, "It's time, isn't it?" "Yeah," I nodded. "Time to end this." I tried being quiet. I tried being strategic. But Jenna wanted a show. Fine. I'd give her a finale she'd never forget. 3 days later, Jenna received an invitation, delivered by courier in a sleek black envelope. Gold trim. No return address. Inside, a single card. A celebration of truth. RSVP not required. Date, time, location. It was our old event space. The one we used to rent for company parties, back when we were a real couple. The place where I once gave a toast about building an empire together. Now, it was going to be the place I burned that empire to the ground. That night, the space was filled. Business contacts. former friends, even a few reporters. No one knew exactly what the event was for, but curiosity got the best of them. Jenna arrived late, as always, dressed in a blood-red dress like she was still the queen. She strutted in, scanning the crowd, trying to own the room like nothing had changed. But the whispers were already circulating. And then the lights dimmed. I stepped onto the small stage. The room went quiet. All eyes on me, and then on her. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight," I said calmly into the mic. "What you're about to see is not a show. It's the truth. Raw, undeniable, and overdue." Jenna folded her arms, smirking. "What is this, Evan?" I pressed a button. The projector lit up. First slide. Jenna, tangled in sheets with a man who wasn't me. Gasps filled the room. Next slide. Screenshots of her mocking me, bragging about the prenup scam, calling me just a wallet with legs. Then, audio clips. Her voice, crystal clear, saying, "He's too weak to fight me." I could spit in his face and he'd still beg to keep me. Silence. Then a few muffled chuckles from the back of the room. Nervous laughter. Disgust. People started recording on their phones. Jenna's face turned white. I didn't stop. Final slide, a video. Jenna with Travis, discussing how they'd destroy me, laughing as she joked about calling the cops and crying abuse if I ever tried to leave her. I ended it there. No speech. No rant. I just said, "Now you all know," and stepped off stage. Jenna stood frozen, mouth slightly open, looking around for an ally. There were none. People walked past her like she was invisible. A few whispered. A few shook their heads. Her spell was broken. She had spent so long controlling narratives, spinning lies, playing victim and villain as it suited her. But now the world saw the real her, unfiltered, unedited, exposed. I didn't wait for her meltdown. I walked straight out. Outside, under the cold night sky, Marissa was waiting near my car. "How'd it go?" she asked, though the smirk on her face said she already knew. She didn't scream. That was the most surprising part. "She will," Marissa replied, "when she realizes no one's coming to help her." And she was right. The fallout was nuclear. Jenna's social media collapsed. Brands cut ties. Even her family distanced themselves. She tried damage control, claimed it was all taken out of context, tried to cry her way into sympathy. But no one cared anymore. Her reputation wasn't just stained, it was scorched. And as for me, I didn't gloat. I didn't throw parties. I signed the divorce papers. Walked away clean. The judge sided with me. Her fake prenup tossed. Her claims dismissed. She walked away with nothing but her name. And now, even that was a punchline. Funny thing, I didn't feel joy. I felt free. For the first time in years, I felt like me again. But I wasn't done just yet. 2 weeks after the event, I stood outside the house we used to call home. The one she tried to steal, the one she defiled. It was empty now. The lease had been transferred. The furniture sold. The walls stripped bare. I stared at it for a moment before handing the keys to the new owner. Fresh start. I muttered, and turned away without looking back. Jenna had tried everything in the aftermath. She sent messages at 3 a.m., long paragraphs swinging between begging and threats. Voice notes dripping with fake sorrow. Photos from when we were happy, followed by accusations that I ruined everything. She even showed up once, pounding on the door of my temporary place like a maniac. Marissa opened it, calm and poised. "He's not here," she said simply. "I know he's inside." Jenna shrieked, mascara running, eyes wild. "No," Marissa replied. "He's not in that version of his life anymore." Then she shut the door in her face. That was the last time Jenna tried, because reality finally caught up with her. Travis filed a restraining order. Her old lovers ghosted her the moment things got uncomfortable. She lost her job at the PR firm after the audio leaks hit the internet. And when she finally walked into court for the final divorce hearing, she looked nothing like the woman I used to know. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, her posture slouched. The judge didn't even blink before ruling in my favor. All assets protected, all slanderous claims dismissed. I walked out of that courtroom with a clean slate, and she walked out a ghost. After the ruling, I took time to disappear. Not literally, just from the noise, from the drama. I unplugged from social media. Took a week in the mountains. No phone, no email, just air, cold and clean, and silence that didn't feel like punishment for once. It's amazing what clarity feels like when you finally cut the poison out of your life. I thought about who I'd become during this war. Not just stronger, smarter, colder, maybe, but not bitter. Jenna taught me what betrayal feels like. What manipulation looks like when it wears perfume and smiles with perfect teeth. But she also taught me what boundaries are, what self-respect truly costs, and what love isn't. She said I was boring, that I was weak. No, I was loyal. I was kind. And now I'm free. Marissa stayed, not out of pity or obligation, but because she saw the real me long before I did. She never tried to rescue me. She just stood by me while I rebuilt. One night, weeks after the dust had settled, she and I sat on a rooftop, wine glasses in hand, watching the city lights. You did it, she said quietly. No, I replied. We did. She smiled. So what now? I looked out across the skyline. Now? I live. No more looking over my shoulder. No more sleeping beside lies. No more begging someone to love me right. If I could leave any man one piece of advice, it would be this. If you feel like you're going crazy trying to understand the woman you love, you're not crazy. She just stopped loving you a long time ago. Get out. Save your soul. Because peace is better than passion soaked in lies. And freedom? Freedom is the most loyal partner you'll ever have.